Chatters, chatties, welcome home for a Great American Chat, a podcast where we chat about great American media. I'm Chad Maurice, and joining me today is a very special guest in the house, actress Ashley Bratcher, who stars in Finding Faith, which premiered last month on Great American Family and is available to stream anytime on Great American PureFlix. Ashley, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Now, before we get going, I have to tell you that I love this movie and you are fantastic in it.
Oh, thank you so much.
Now, I know you are down south of me. You're in North Carolina, right?
I am.
Has,
Yep,
has
right on the coast.
right on the coast. Has autumn
Mhm.
started up down there yet?
No, we've had fake fall, and that's where we say, we get the taste of the fall, and then it gets really hot again. So I think we're in fake fall. It'll get hot again, and then we'll get real fall.
Okay. I'm in
Where are you
upstate New
at?
York, and I'm in
Oh,
upstate New York, and the leaves are starting to change a little bit. I noticed a couple days
oh,
ago.
that's nice.
Yeah. When do they change? Do they change like in October down there?
Mm, Probably the 1st of November.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. All right. Now, where did you grow up? Did you grow up in that part of the country?
I did. I grew up in Goldsboro, North Carolina, which is about an hour and a half from where I live now. So I spent the majority of my life in North Carolina. As an adult, I lived in New York City for a little while, lived in Atlanta for a little while, and then ended back up in North Carolina because I missed it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now, how did you get into acting?
That's such a strange story. But in a nutshell, my senior year of college, I went to the North Carolina State Fair and they had a booth at the fair and it said, "Do you want to be an actor?" And I thought, yeah, why not? And so I went into this booth, I auditioned for a commercial, I booked it, got an agent, and then about 6 months later, I moved to New York City.
Wow. Wait, you were in college when this happened?
Yeah, I mean, I had done a little bit of theater in high school, but it was just, I played an elf in The Shoemaker and the Elves. It wasn't a big deal. So, I didn't know as an
Wow.
adult that maybe I could really do it. Yeah.
Now, what were you majoring in college?
Graphic design. Yeah, I studied art,
Graphic
so I was never
design.
I
Oh.
wasn't even an acting major. I studied graphic design and marketing.
Oh, okay. Wow. Wow, that's interesting. Now, I also heard, tell me if this is true, that you were a championship surfer when you were younger?
Yes, in college, I think I've lived many lives. I went to school initially on a softball scholarship, and then I got a little bored with that because I had done it my whole life, and I had taken up surfing because I live near the ocean, and I started competing. I joined a surf team nearby, and I ended up winning, the Southern North Carolina championships, and it was a fun part of my life. I mean, I still really love surfing.
Oh, now I didn't think the waves were big enough in the Atlantic Ocean to surf. I thought you had to go out west.
They are. They're just inconsistent. I mean, we get excited when there's hurricanes because we know that before the hurricane, we're going to get some really nice swell, and then after the hurricane, but we get decent waves. I mean, sometimes in the fall, we'll see 8 to 10 foot waves.
Oh, wow. Okay. So now, when you got out of college, did you like move to New York City and start acting right away, or did you get another job?
I did. Well, did I get another job? Like all aspiring actors, I had multiple
Yeah.
jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, but I did. I moved to New York City right after I graduated. I had an agent there, and I started auditioning immediately. But it was crazy because I was working two jobs, one as a server and then one as a cocktail server at night. So I would be working from anywhere from 9 in the morning till sometimes 4 in the morning. I mean, it was grueling. It was grueling sometimes. And it didn't
Yeah.
leave a lot of time to really focus on my craft. I was also not in a great place in my life where I was a little rebellious and I didn't know the Lord. I mean, I grew a lot in my faith as I got older, but at that point, I would say I was a little naive, a bit of a party girl, and not living my best life. So New York was not exactly the place for me to thrive.
Yeah. Now, I read somewhere, were you also a teacher?
I was. Yeah.
You
See, I
were
told you.
you?
That so after I came back from New York City, I moved back to my hometown because it just didn't feel like it was healthy for me. And I
Uh-huh.
was in this relationship that was on again, off again with my high school sweetheart. And being very transparent here, I ended up getting pregnant. And I always knew from the beginning, I'm going to have this baby. So I guess we're going to have to grow up really fast and figure it out. And so part of that journey for me was being a big girl and getting big girl insurance because you need that when you have kids. And teaching ended up being the way to do that. And I ended up teaching middle school at the same middle school I went to and taking my middle school art teacher's place, if that tells you anything
Ah.
about how small the town was.
And then when did you finally were you able to quit teaching and pursue acting full time? When did all that happen?
So Wilmington had a pretty good film industry around 2012, 2010, 2012. Things were really happening. And like I said, Wilmington was about an hour and a half from where I lived. My son was a little older now. It was easier to manage parenting. I think he was around 2 at that time. So I said to my husband, because we got married, by the way, I ended up marrying my high school
Uh-huh.
sweetheart.
Yeah.
But I said to him, I don't want to live with regrets and wonder, would this thing have worked out if I had gone for it? And so I'd really like
Uh-huh.
to go to Wilmington, take classes and audition. And he agreed. And that was a point in my life where I gave my life to the Lord. I gave my career to the Lord. And I just kind of said, all right, block it or bless it, God, like whatever you want me to do, make it very clear. And I just started booking little roles one by one. I mean, small one-liners and then steadily building
Uh-huh.
up to bigger roles. And that was the beginning of my career in 2012. And that shortly after that is when I was able to quit teaching and do this full time.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, you have to start off with the one-liner roles and do short films and student films and anything you can get to build up your resume.
Yeah, all the things.
Yep. Yep. Well, let's chat about finding faith here. So, for the people who haven't seen this movie, tell me about who your character is and what this movie's all about.
Victoria is a faith-based columnist. So people write in and they ask her questions about their journey with God. And at this moment in her life, she is really struggling to answer those questions because she's facing her own crisis and her marriage is falling apart. Her parents, their health is failing, and she's really going through this journey of rediscovering her own faith and looking for God in those difficult moments. So I won't spoil the ending for anyone who's seen it, but let's just
Mhm.
say she works really hard to find her faith and get back to where she started.
Yeah. Now, how did you get cast in this?
I had built up a resume over the last few years and I had quite a bit of following on Great American Pure Flix. I'd done several movies and I happened to get an email one day that they really liked me for this role. One of the executive producers had worked with me on another project and it just kind of came to me. I've been really fortunate that people have started to recognize my work and I was able to hop into this role without having to audition, just kind of getting the phone call and saying, "Hey, we like you." And that's a great place to be in your career. I mean, that's a very
Oh,
rewarding
yeah.
place to be. So that was how it all came
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, that's nice when people know you, they know your reputation, they have confidence in you, and you don't have to submit a self-tape. They're just
Yeah.
like, "Hey, here's a movie. I think you'd be good for this role. What do you think?"
Yeah, it's a really cool experience to finally be in that place.
Yeah. Now, what was your reaction when you first read the script?
It hit home for me. I knew a lot of people that were struggling within their marriage or were facing difficult circumstances, people who had lost family members, people who had had miscarriages or were struggling with infertility. And I thought if I did this movie for no one else but them and it really helped them through this moment in their lives, then it was totally worth it, even for just one of them. Now, it went on to really impact a lot of people. I've seen the feedback and it's been fulfilling to hear that people were so touched by it. But I knew that it was going to resonate with a lot of people just because of the messy faith, if you will, the difficulties that we
Hmm.
face even amidst our faith.
Hmm. Hmm. One thing I liked about the movie is that the movie featured a married couple, and it was a couple who was struggling in their marriage, in their relationship, dealing with past trauma. And the entire movie and relationship felt very real to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
really drawn to that as well because I think that sometimes movies tend to gloss over hard things and
Mm-hmm.
not really dig into them. And this was a little different from that in the sense that we really explored the vulnerability and the raw aspect of what it feels like to deal with these traumas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, I know you've done a lot of these faith-based films. Did you go into these on purpose, or did you like fall into these accidentally?
A little bit of both. uh, it just kind of started that way. And I trusted that God was guiding my career. And I never really worried about how it was going to work out. From the very beginning, I did film and television shows all across the spectrum. It just happened that these films really hit home for me again. And I loved doing them because I felt like I was putting good and hope out into the world. And as I've gone farther along in my career, I've been able to curate it a little more and say, these are the kind of stories I want to tell. And
Mm-hmm.
Finding Faith was right in that pipeline and being able to get a little more nitty gritty where it's not just picture perfect and show some of the harder things in life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let me move this slide here. Here is Jonathan Stoddard. He plays your husband in this movie. Now, did you two know each other before this?
We didn't. I met him for the first time when we went for our wardrobe fitting, which was maybe 2 days before we were set to shoot. And the whole movie revolves around our relationship. So, you get to know
Uh-huh.
someone really quickly. But Jonathan is a very talented actor. He does a great job of making his cast members feel safe, especially as a woman when you're trying to have this intimate relationship. He's very kind and just very respectful, and he does a wonderful job of connecting with people and making you feel seen, and at the same time just excellent in his craft.
Yeah. Now, do you know who got cast first, you or him? You know?
I think I did.
You think you did?
I don't know, maybe not, but
Now, did you have to do a chemistry read with him or any other actors?
no, and that's the thing sometimes is you just get thrown into it and you hope it works. And that's another reason I go back to saying Jonathan is so good at connecting with people because it can be really nerve-wracking to go into a scene or a movie where you have to have a believable, intimate relationship. And the very first scene that we shot, oh my gosh, the very first scene that we shot was in the therapy session where we're both just kind of
Oh yeah.
breaking down. I have this
Hmm.
emotional reaction and it has to mean something. You really have to work off the other actor and feel like you're connected. So we were really fortunate. I have had experiences where I was not as fortunate, so I can sing Jonathan's praises, honestly.
Now, you and he rode horses in this movie. Did both of you know how to ride?
I did more so than Jonathan. I blame him. I mean, I blame him for something that happened, so I'll give you the inside scoop just because it's
Okay.
over, it's done with, and they have it. There's a beautiful scene where we're riding horses, and you can tell it's us. I mean, we're giddy up
Yeah,
and
yeah,
go. It's a close
yeah.
up. It's us. We're riding.
Hmm.
Well, what people don't know is that as soon as they got that take and they got that shot, we're going past, and my saddle becomes loose. His horse goes crazy. Jonathan doesn't really know how to make him stop. My horse wants to race the other horse, and we're going full speed toward a fence. And I
Oh.
realize, I'm like, oh my gosh, my horse is about to jump this fence. Like, I got to do something. So I pull my reins, my horse bumps into Jonathan's horse. The next thing I know, I'm stunt riding. I have like one foot in the saddle. And then I had to jump off the horse. So I jump off the horse, tuck and roll. The handler's running
Wow.
over. The next thing I see is everyone running over this hill because we had to go over a hill. So I get up, I've got one boot on. I turn around, I see everyone running over the hill, and I have one boot on. The handler goes, that was the best I've ever seen anybody jump off a horse. You did great. I was like, you know, thank goodness I know what to do. But Jonathan, he's gone. Like somebody had to get on a horse and go get him. And so the handler's like, that's it. We got the take. We're not doing it again.
And they were able to stop his horse.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But then I mean, we had to get back on. There was more scenes to go, so I had to get back
Oh,
on my
there were.
horse.
Oh,
Yeah,
geez.
so I mean, you have to get the horse to trust you. Horses are very sensitive to how you're feeling, and so
Hmm.
if you project any sort of fear, then that horse will take advantage of it. And so you really had to get back on and take authority. And whew, I was happy to, though. I mean, they say, if you fall off a horse, get back on, and that's what I did.
Hmm. Hmm. Wow, that's funny. Now,
Hmm.
Jonathan's character, Billy is his name. He's a musician in this movie. Now, I have to ask, I'm dying to know, was Jonathan really singing?
I don't know if I'm supposed to say. Okay, not in the movie. So when you listen to the movie, he's not really
Hmm.
singing. There was a soundtrack someone had already recorded, but Jonathan is a very talented musician. He can
Okay.
sing and he's a wonderful songwriter and he does play. So he did all that, but they already had a soundtrack in mind whenever they were
Ah,
filming.
okay,
Mhm.
okay. All right, all right, all right. Well, you worked with a couple of TV legends on this. One is Andrew Stevens, who is one of the producers, and I didn't realize he's also a musician himself, and he wrote the
Mhm.
songs for this
He
movie.
did.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, he taught
Yeah.
Jonathan how to play it in between
Oh, did he?
scenes. Uh-huh.
Did he? Yeah,
It
I
was
really
really
like
cool.
that ending song, Sunday Kind of Love. That's a really good song.
Yeah. They need to release it.
Yeah.
They really need to just have a
Yeah.
single from it.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that Andrew wrote that. Now, what about you? Are
Yeah,
you
he's
musically inclined?
um, if you invite me to karaoke, I'll do amazing, but karaoke is about the extent of my performing level. I'm not I'm not excellent by any means, but I'm a performer. So, I bring the energy, just not the great vocals. But I do have a guitar. I'm learning how to play. I've been learning how to play for a while, so I dabble. I
Oh,
think it's fun
okay.
to learn new things and
Oh,
music and
yeah.
instruments are something that I think everybody should just pick up from time to time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Now, another legend you work with was John Schneider. He's like TV royalty from the Dukes of Hazzard to Smallville. He's been
Mhm.
on all kinds of shows. What was it like working with John?
He's so great. He's just so kind and giving, and he was going through what had to be one of the hardest moments of his life. His wife was in hospice care while we were
Ooh,
filming,
ooh,
and it it was, I guess I don't know how to really describe it. Maybe a little bit inspiring to see him come to set, but we all felt for him so deeply, but it pulled the cast and crew together because we wanted him to feel loved and comforted while he was on set. And his wife did end up passing away. I think we were halfway
ooh.
through the shoot when she passed away and he was on the way to see her. So just overcoming that and then stepping back on set, I think that he had this desire to really do this for her because the movie kind of touches on what he was going through in his real
Yeah,
life. So
yeah,
he had a lot of strength to show up and do his job and and still just be wonderful to work with and still try to I mean, I remember there was this one scene where he was apologizing to me because he had to leave. He was going to see his wife and I was doing the scene with a dot on a stick. And I mean, most actors, they want to be there, they want to read with you even when they're not on camera. And we had already agreed, John needed to leave and I was just going to pull it off and look at this dot. And he just was profusely apologizing to me. And I was like, John, don't apologize. Family comes first. Go do what you need to do. We train for these things, so I'm not worried about it. Just go
hmm,
take care of your
hmm.
family. But he was very apologetic, and we just knew we were like, no, don't apologize. But he just cared about everybody else so much.
Wow. So he was actually going through or experiencing what the character was experiencing.
Oh
That's
yeah,
pretty wild. I didn't realize
yeah.
that.
Hmm.
Wow. Now you two, actually, you got to dance with him, and you had a dancing scene in this bar scene. How fun was that shooting that scene?
I'm a horrible dancer. I'll say that. I'm a
Oh yeah.
mediocre singer, but I'm a horrible dancer. I mean, I go for it, but it doesn't look good on camera when I do. So he kinda took the lead on that, but he's fun and he's a great lead. I think he really enjoys dancing because he was just spinning me around, taking the lead, and I was just kinda like, "Okay, spin me, that looks good."
Now, was that filmed in an actual bar or was that a set?
No, it was an actual bar. Gosh, I don't remember where we were filming. Mississippi? Somewhere in Mississippi?
Was
I
it
don't know, but
filmed in
it's this
Mississippi?
old dive bar just in the middle of nowhere, and it looks great. And it was beautiful to shoot in. I mean, it just really worked.
Now, I remember after I watched this movie, I immediately messaged you and asked you if you were dehydrated after making this movie because you cried a lot in this movie.
Yes, yes. I cry a lot in a lot of movies. I don't know if that's my superpower, and that's why people are like, "Oh, she cries a lot. We're gonna hire her for this." Um, but okay, a long time ago, I read this thing that Meryl Streep had put out. It was either an interview or something she had written out. But she said, when you know you have emotional scenes, you need to be drinking water all day, like crazy, because you can't cry
Yeah,
if you're dehydrated.
yeah, I've heard that.
And,
I've heard that.
that
Yeah.
never clicked for me. So I mean, I drank at least a gallon of water when I'm preparing for these scenes because I know. But that's something that always stuck with me. And I was like, okay, I don't know. Maybe it's just my superpower.
Yeah, let me ask you an acting question. Crying on cue, is that something that an actor can learn, or is that something you either have it or you don't?
Oh, I think it can go both ways. I think that it's easy to cry on cue. I don't think that it's easy to be believable crying on cue. I think that you really have to dig inside to help yourself feel what the character is going through. So typically, when I have movies like this or heavy scenes, you won't see me on set until it's time to roll the camera because
Uh-huh.
I'm spending time alone to really reflect on what my character is going through and taking a moment to see the set and imagine what this moment might be like to experience it for the first time. I mean, I do think that crying's easy. I mean, I've seen a lot of actors use these, it's like a menthol stick. So,
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
Hollywood secret, a lot
Uh-huh.
of actors, when they have to cry, makeup will come over with a menthol stick, and you just kinda
Hmm.
smell it under your eyes. It's almost like the onion effect, and they'll say action, and then they've got these tears streaming,
Hmm.
because their eyes burn.
Hmm.
And sometimes it works, but sometimes you just don't quite believe it.
Now, did the director tell you that? Did he say, "I need to see tears running down your face in these scenes"?
No, not
No.
really. I think it was just kinda
Okay.
understood that a lot of this was very heartbreaking. I don't think that it's ever wise for a director to put the pressure on an actor to say, "You must be sobbing in this
Hmm.
scene." I think
Hmm.
it's smart for a director to come to the actor and talk through what's going on and say, "You're devastated, you're crushed, everything that you have hoped and dreamed for is falling apart." Things that help someone get into the mindset they need to be in as opposed to ever putting pressure on someone because then it's like, "Oh, I have to cry. I have to cry." And then you're just constantly thinking, "I have to
Yeah,
cry." And that doesn't
yeah,
work.
yeah. When you're trying to force it, it never works. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a couple scenes in this movie that I really liked, and I have a couple clips here I'm going to show. The first one here is this church scene where your character Victoria is out jogging, and you walk into the church where you got married, and you have a flashback to your wedding day. And
Mhm.
let me just get this clip up here.
Victoria?
Oh, that's a powerful scene.
It is, I didn't ever, you know really look at that scene until you just played it, because there's not a ton going on, but there
Mm-hmm.
is. You can see what she's
Mm-hmm.
thinking, and you can really
Yeah.
feel the weight of longing for what she had. It's more powerful to watch it back like that. I never thought of it.
Yeah. Hey, a lot of smoke machines were used in that scene to, I can tell, to make it look like a memory. Yeah.
And then you gotta wait. They'll be like, "Okay, we need more," and then they're wafting it everywhere, and then you gotta wait for it to settle.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, was that your actual wedding dress that you were wearing in that thing?
No,
No.
Wardrobe got really lucky. I think they thrifted that, and they were like, "Okay, try it on. We hope it works." And it fit perfect. So we got really lucky. We didn't even have to alter it.
Another scene that I really enjoyed was the baptism scene where the teen gets baptized in the lake. And hold on, I have that one here. Let me bring this up.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, whoa, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I think I see. I was blind, but now I finally see.
Oh, that scene's very emotional.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful
Yeah.
moment anytime you see somebody rising up and their sins washed away, and just believing you're this new creation in Christ, and knowing that
Hmm.
you've never done anything that can separate you from the love of God. It's a beautiful moment. Um,
Yeah.
but I can tell you some more goofy behind the scenes stories about
Oh,
that.
yeah. All right.
I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying these things. They're gonna be like, "Ashley, don't tell people about this." Um, anytime you do a water scene, you have one take. You got one take to get it right, because you're getting
Hmm.
lit. So,
Yeah,
it's not like
yeah,
we can just say, "Oh, let's do it again," and now
yeah,
you gotta
right.
try out. So
Hmm.
this actor, he missed the cue, and he thought that the director was telling him to go for it, and we were just doing a run through. Like,
Oh,
it was like,
oh,
"Do not go in the water. Do not dunk in
oh.
the water. Don't do it." And then in the middle of the scene, he thought he was getting a cue from the director, and he just went, "Whoa." He came up, and everybody was like, because we knew it was gonna take like 30 minutes to put his clothes in the dryer, to dry his hair, and we were just like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, no." But, worse things have happened, but it was just one of those moments on set where you go,
So did they redo it or did they use that take?
They redid it.
Oh, they redid it.
And
Oh, okay.
I think the reason they had to is because he realized it when he came out of the water. So his reaction was like, "So you can't use it, right?" Like,
Yeah.
you just couldn't use it. So they kept all the cameras set up, and they were like, "Oh man, go dry him off." And it took about 30 minutes, and he came back out and did it again.
Oh, that's funny. Well, that scene got me when I was watching the movie. That
Yeah,
scene
it's a
really got
beautiful
me
moment.
emotional. Yeah. Now, what time of year was this movie filmed?
Mm.
Do you remember?
Uh,
Was it
the
summer,
spring, I
spring?
think it was February, maybe.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, but it was warm where we were.
Was it warm? I was wondering how
Yeah, it
cold that
wasn't
water
cold.
was.
It was
Oh,
warm. I
okay.
think we were in Mississippi. Sometimes I
Ah,
forget what we were
okay. Yeah, I think it was filmed in Mississippi. I think
I
you're right.
think I think
All
it
right.
was late February, because I
Oh, okay.
remember my son's birthday was on March 4th, and I flew straight home to be with my son.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Now, your character, Victoria, wore a lot of cute cowboy boots in this movie. What about you? Are you a cowgirl?
I think those are my boots. I'm
Those
pretty
are
sure.
your boots? Are
Yeah,
they?
I think those ones are my boots. Yeah, I have probably 4 or 5 pairs of boots.
Do you?
Yeah, I love cowboy boots. I mean, I'm a Southern girl. I grew up
Hmm. Yeah.
going, on four-wheelers down paths in the woods. I rode horses when I was a kid, so
Hmm.
this is me kinda living in my world.
Yeah. Well, you rock the dress and cowboy boots look for sure. Now, I have to ask about this car. This car we see at the end of the movie. This car is fantastic. Where did this come from?
Unfortunately, I don't know, but I did get to ride in it for quite some time
Did
because
you?
they wanted to get shots of it going all through these back roads and whatnot and through the city. And so
Mm-hmm.
John just drove us around. I got to just sit in the car and he drove us around for like an hour and we just listened to music and we chilled and went on a cruise.
That's great. Yeah, this car was amazing.
Oh yeah, he
Amazing.
loved revving it up. I mean,
Oh,
anytime he
I
got
bet he
an opportunity,
did.
vroom, and just take it.
Yeah, I bet he did. And it was a very picturesque scene when he drove away, and they have like an aerial shot, like a drone shot of him driving the car along this highway along the ocean or
Yeah,
something.
we were
Yeah, it
in
was neat.
there.
Yeah. Now, besides acting, I know you are also a writer, director, and you have your own production company, right? Simple Jane Films. So tell me about this.
I do. A lot of people ask me, how did you come up with the name Simple Jane Films? And for me, it was a reminder. I always wanted to remember where I came from. You know, I'm just a simple girl from North Carolina. I don't want to ever have a huge ego. I want to remain humble. And so when I sign a check and my company name is right there, I remember, keep it simple. That's who you are. Stay humble, and it's a really nice way to be able to show people who I am. But I started my production company in late 2019 after I had done a movie called Unplanned. And that was a pivotal point in my career because I decided to become much more intentional about the kinds of roles and stories I wanted to tell. And the best way to do that is to start producing the movies you want to be in. And that was the birth of Simple Jane Films. I optioned my first script in January of 2020, right before a pandemic. Not ideal timing. It's like I've gone through producer boot camp, if you will, because I've experienced so many things as a producer in a short amount of time with the pandemic, multiple union strikes, just overcoming a lot of obstacles and seeing what it takes behind the scenes to make a movie happen. I have a
Hmm.
much more deep appreciation for producers and people who make movies because every time you see something on the screen, it took a team of people just believing in that project to even get it off the ground. It's just words on paper until you bring in a
Hmm.
producer and they sail the ship.
Hmm. Hmm. Any future projects, either acting or producing, that you're allowed to talk about?
I have a couple, but one in particular that I would love to bring to Great American. It is
Oh,
a
what?
Christmas movie, but it's a
Okay.
Christmas movie set at the beach. So who knows? Maybe it's a Christmas in July premiere. But I'm working on that. Jonathan Stoddard has attached himself to play opposite of me. So we're just kind of putting the polish on it right now, and hopefully it'll be on Great American. Fingers crossed. If anybody's watching.
Oh, that'll be good because you two have really good chemistry. You did in
Yeah, I
Finding
love
Faith.
working with him.
Yeah.
He's easy to work with. So it'd be great to
Hmm.
do. And I've never done a Christmas movie, if you can believe that.
Oh, really?
Never. So, and this one feels right because it's right here where I live, and Christmas at the beach is a different experience. It's kind of quirky. It's fun. We've got Santa's surfing and things like that. It's fun.
Nah.
It's a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, Ashley, you are a light. You're our joy, let me tell you. Thank you so much for taking the time and chatting with me today.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Now, tell people your social media handles so they can follow your career.
If you just search Ashley Bratcher anywhere, I usually pop up. On Instagram, it's underscore Ashley Bratcher. I guess somebody had already taken my name. So it's
Yeah.
underscore Ashley Bratcher. On Facebook, you can just look up Ashley Bratcher. I don't tweet a lot. That's probably where I am the least. But you can
Okay.
learn more about me on my website, ashleybratcher.com, and all of the links are there.
Okay. And yeah, you have a website and you also have the website for simplejanefilms.com
Yeah,
as
and
well,
they
right?
link to each
Yeah.
other. So if you visit one or the other, you'll find me. I'm not hard to find.
Okay. All right. Well, Finding Faith is streaming right now on Great American Pure Flix, and you can catch a re-airing on Great American Family sometime. You just have to check the schedule. I'm sure that they'll be showing it again soon. Ashley, you definitely made a fan out of me after watching this movie, and I look forward to seeing you in other projects.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I look forward to seeing you chatters again on the next episode. Until then, you keep the faith, keep smiling, keep your friends close, and keep your great American family closer.